The engine is starting up.
Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
And good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing on this magnificent day?
Hello.
Hello, Lois, and hello. I see there's a few other. Look, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I'm Howie.
And I'm Ryan.
I should say Ed.
And together, we're
We're
fucked.
hey, not too early.
Sorry.
Well, look, we've got a lot of great stuff coming out. I'm honestly, I was talking with Ryan. I was like, I didn't think, again, I would have a lot this month coming out. But then
you looked.
I looked and I got more than I anticipated. So I think that's really cool. Ryan's got some great stories. We got some interesting stuff to talk about. Before we get into the stories and all that, you know what time it is. It's that time where we get you involved. And we're going to let you know what's going on in the science right now. Mayhem together. That's right. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Ashley.
Let's talk some, what is the sun and the solar?
The sun report?
Yeah.
We have some fast solar wind, a filament that barely hangs on, and a big flare player fires a near Earth-directed solar storm. Those stories and more in the news this week. If you want to learn how weather from our star causes impacts at the Earth that shape the future of our world, join Professors Dr. Jenny Meehan, Michael Cook, and myself as we guide you through a space weather certificate program like no other. To enroll in the Space Weather and Environment Science program offered at Millersville University, go to millersville.edu/SWEN. It's weather for the 21st century.
It's
Certificate.
yeah.
Space weather this week is staying a bit on the calm side. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, we do have a lot of active regions in Earth view, including a couple big flare players like region 3912 and region 3917. But most of the activity this week is from small little mini solar storm eruptions and from some fast solar wind we're seeing from this coronal hole and soon from this big coronal hole right here. But what's interesting is we're taking a look at this kind of set of filaments right here that looks a bit like a 3. Believe it or not, this is not the first time we've seen this particular filament cluster. This was here last rotation and maybe even the rotation prior to that. The top part of it is beginning to look a bit unstable, but it manages to hang on even as it rotates through the Earth strike zone. But we'll be paying more attention to it as it goes through. Meanwhile, region 3912 is getting much more active as it rotates to the west limb. In fact, early on the 8th, it fires an X 2.2 class flare. You see it right here. Bam! This actually caused an R3 level radio blackout over Africa and the Indian Ocean. And it also fires a solar storm. You can see a jet of plasma going by right there. As we take a closer look at it, you can watch the blast wave. Boom! So this was a big solar storm launch. It just doesn't look like it was Earth directed. But when you take a look at it in coronagraphs, you can see this thing launch right out here, and it kind of looks like it's just going to go off to the west of us. But take a closer look at this area here, and in here, it actually does look like some of this might be a shock wave that's gone past center disk here. And that means we might have just a little bit of a shock wave glancing by Earth and causing a little bit of disruption. And that's going to be centered right in that fast solar wind that we're already beginning to experience. So over the next couple days.
So hold on, you guys. We want to explain this. This was only 2 days ago. Okay. This is why we could be experiencing a lot of cellular issues, a lot of connection issues with your cell phones and your computers and your Wi-Fi's. So that's why we opened the show with Dr. Scott, because you get the really great understanding of how the universe and how our sun affects our communication on a daily and weekly basis. Along with those of you in spirituality, you'll know that this is also a part of how it affects us here on Earth and actually our psyche. So let me continue this just for a few more minutes. Y'all saw the big one, but I want to make sure y'all saw it all.
Aurora photographers at high latitudes, you might actually get a little bit of something from this solar storm, believe it or not. But meanwhile, as we go back to the disk, there's not a lot of other stuff going on. We've been paying very close attention to region 3917 because it is a big X-flare player, and we've got a few new regions that are going to be rotating into Earth view over the next couple days. But with also this big filament right here, but it doesn't look like it's about to erupt. So we're just kind of sitting in hurry up and wait mode to see whether or not we're going to get any more Earth-directed solar storms, or if that risk for big flare activity is going to stay high.
That could be next.
Now, returning to that Earth-directed or near-Earth-directed solar storm launch, we switched to our solar storm prediction model, NLL. Now, this is NASA's version of the model. You're looking down at the sun from the North Pole with Earth being off to the right. And as I set this model in motion, you'll see that solar storm launch off to the west of Earth. But as you can see, it basically is getting really close. In fact, if we had a shock wave in front of it, you'd see that this actually does look like it grazes Earth a little bit. When we take a look at the impact footprint, you can see there is a little bit of a space, but we could get a little bit of wake or something like that from this. So it's going to be a close call. So aurora photographers, if you're looking at early on the 11th, if you're looking to outside and you might be chasing some aurora from the fast solar wind, don't be surprised if you get a little bit of a plus up and the aurora brightens a bit more, because that could easily be the effect of this solar storm. Now,
Bow. So that's why I like bringing her to the show. I think she's highly intelligent. Well, by all means she is, but she's more on a, you can understand what she's saying.
Yeah.
And for those people who don't understand this part of the science, it's really intriguing because she breaks it down to where you really understand it.
It's really not you think of too much
Yeah.
when it's just like you see the sun and it's there, but you don't really think about it because it's so far away. You don't really think of it being don't really think of it being like affecting you that much, except it's hot or not.
Right.
But then you think about solar storms and the kind of damage it could do.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just another thing to worry about, really.
exactly. That's why I like to bring it to the forefront of our show because it affects so much. It affects.
Did you ever see the Nicolas Cage movie Knowing?
No, I've never seen that.
The scientist Nicolas Cage. He somehow, I guess, he finds out that there is a solar storm, a huge solar storm, going to come, and it's going to wipe out the entire planet.
Okay.
I think, and only he knows about it.
Okay.
He's trying to figure out how to, but there's no hope.
Oh,
Yeah,
then
it's,
I don't want to know if there's no
yeah.
hope. Hey, just blink me out with my eyes closed.
I mean, it's like this, like a huge, like fireball coming off the sun and destroys everything. And I guess,
I mean, that there you go.
yeah,
I mean, the possibilities are endless of what we can be affected
I
by.
think it's better not to know.
Yeah. Well, right now
You
we
know?
got a huge asteroid in rotation around us with the moon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows what that would cause or what it's causing? So, valid point.
I mean, I've seen Armageddon. Just send these spaceship on top of you.
Yeah.
You got the blueprint of how to get rid of it.
We need to get Aerosmith back together.
We do.
Yeah, that'll be it.
I don't think Bruce Willis will be that much help, though. to be
No,
honest with you.
Bruce is screwed.
Bruce is screwed.
But yeah, we've got a lot more coming at you. Got some cool stuff, cool little segments for you guys, stuff to look at, and of course, discussion and chat.
Yeah,
This
we're
morning.
all about the chat, talking
Yep.
to Pete, talking to you guys, and hearing what you guys have to say.
That's right. That's right. So get your coffee, get your tea, get your beverage, whatever it might be. It's time to talk a little science, time to talk a little astrology, time to talk a little paranormal, a little ufology.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
I
What you
made
got?
I did that pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to jump in, we can go into the next one. This one's
Okay.
pretty cool. This one is going to be coming from NASA. It's only a minute long. This is 3 days. Well, yep, this was 3 days ago. So let me bring that up. I'm liking how this is actually working pretty good right now.
Yeah.
So check this out, you guys.
NASA scientists, inspired by sci-fi's concept of warp drive, are working on making this a reality. Dr. Harold Sonny White has built on the original warp drive theory, developed in the 1990s by physicist Miguel Alcubierre. Alcubierre's idea involved a spacecraft sitting in a warp bubble that compresses space-time in front and expands it behind, allowing it to travel vast distances. However, this concept required an impossible amount of energy. Dr. White proposed a solution by reshaping the warp bubble to a toroidal or donut-like structure, potentially reducing the energy needed to something much more manageable. NASA has even developed a device, the White-Jude Warp Field Interferometer, to detect tiny warp bubbles in a lab, marking an exciting first step toward validating these theories. If successful, we might one day see warp drive become a reality, opening doors to interstellar travel. Want to learn more about this exciting topic? Watch our full YouTube video for a deep dive. See you.
So that's pretty cool. We're getting closer to what we've seen on you guys there. And wow. We're getting closer to what we've seen in sci-fi,
Yeah.
to what we experience and what we think is out there. Now, something I've definitely thought about is we are definitely only hearing like 30 years,
Yeah.
20 to 30 years after the fact. For instance, I didn't put it in here, but did you know that the stealth fight, that YF-22, was actually developed in 1985? It started its development in 85 with the YF-23.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was in the 90s. Nope.
I mean, I guess starting development, is that like just designing it, talking about it,
Designing
and then
it.
1985, that's 5 years, and how long it takes to get all the stuff, the designs right, and then start producing it may have taken that long.
It's okay, and I give
You
you
can
that.
start something and then stop, and then start over, start up
And
again.
that's basically what they did.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it again with the YF-22. That's why we haven't heard a lot about it, because they've revamped it again.
Different, and plus different, like, political stuff come in. Maybe
Right.
you go away from that and then come back to it when another political party comes in, and the funding and stuff like that.
It's really interesting how much the government does play into that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you put it like that, it really is. I'm going to set up another one here, because I am not going to talk about Adolf. There's an article, and maybe we could discuss that here in the show, but they discussed in the Y Files. AJ was talking about Operation Eagle Flight.
That's the newest episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was 4 days ago. And AJ was talking about the evidence that Adolf Hitler actually survived in Argentina.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good one. And I was like, we'll come back to that. I'm not going to get into that.
If we get to it type of things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to set it aside. But we like to hit y'all with a bunch of updated news and all that and information. Now, the last one we just showed was by NASA Space Move. Okay, these are all on YouTube. You can go check them out. If there's shorts that we play, we encourage you to go watch the whole video. It's really great information. The little shorts that we have, like the 1 minute, 2 minutes, these are great hits, great conversation pieces. And that's why we put them out there. And it's still up-to-date news. So do you want to bring yours out?
Yes, I will go ahead and read my story here. This is actually from August 22nd, 2024. This is from Newsweek magazine.
Oh,
it's fancy, official.
It's official.
Yes. 2 women in Newton, North Carolina are facing criminal charges after being accused of causing severe injuries to 2 toddlers in their care. The defense is citing paranormal activity as the cause, according to a local ABC affiliate television station, WSOC. Emily Marie Edwards, 25, and her mother, Sherry Jean Edwards, 54, were arrested on August 16th following a grand jury indictment on 2 counts, each of felony child abuse causing serious bodily injury, law and crime reports. The charges are based on allegations dating back to December 2023. The court documents reviewed by WSOC said that a 1-year-old and 2-year-old suffered multiple injuries, including burns, bite marks, and broken bones. Additionally, both children tested positive for fentanyl. When questioned by the Newton Police Department, the Edwards women reportedly said that the injuries were the result of evil spirits. You know how it is,
Great. Demons are dealers.
Yeah. Evil spirits within their apartment in Newton, about 40 miles from Charlotte, North Carolina. I mean, you move into an apartment, you want to have a good life with your children, and the evil spirits live there.
Hey, good morning, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle. According to Newton Police Chief Vidal Sipe, the women mentioned that they had been using a Ouija board, which was used to attempt to communicate with spirits, and suggested that the injuries were inflicted by these spirits during the nightmares the children experienced. The basic response was nightmares, Sipe explained to WSO TV. They heard the kids yelling and went over to find injuries on them. They claimed that spirits in the house were responsible for these injuries. Now, I have heard, of, I guess, scratches and stuff on, and, maybe some bruising. Okay. I have heard of that.
Yeah, I'll go with the bruising.
Fentanyl, I can't say I've heard of that yet. The indictment accuses the women of acting with a reckless disregard for life and failing to report the extensive injuries observed on the toddlers. The court, of course, if that does happen, you find your kids full of bruises and scratches. If you report it to the police,
well,
it'd be like, they probably won't think it's demons. But if you do report it to the police, at least you're reporting it. So if it was you, why would you report it? I don't know. and failing to report that the court documentary detailed the children's injuries and suggests that the abuse was a result of action taken by the mother and grandmother. Saib also said that there was possibly a third adult involved who passed away earlier this year, according
From fentanyl?
I wonder if it's the grandfather from WSOC TV. Neighbors in the area have expressed skepticism about the Edwards. That's it's such a like something happened. Oh, it's ghosts. It's not us. It's blaming everything else. But
the real party
actual responsible
they
party.
went to ghost.
Yes.
And does it say ghost or spirit? Okay, here's the interesting thing, because maybe they were filled with the spirit.
I don't know. You said nightmares.
Yeah.
They heard the kids yelling and went over to find injuries on them. They claimed that spirits in the house were responsible for these injuries. Now, what do the kids say? That's the question.
We don't. That's the thing. We don't have the kids, and we just have adults who are probably druggies.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I said I'm speculation. I don't have evidence of. However, to use the excuse, which actually we've heard other people use in church, in religions, etc., I was deemed to do what I did by the Spirit.
The devil made me do it. Or even like next door.
Oh, I was about to say, holy shit.
Yeah.
Next. Wow,
that's spooky. Like Randy said, it was
me, but it wasn't me.
It wasn't me, yeah. Yeah, I was there, but it wasn't me. So finish the article up. Neighbors in the area have expressed skepticism about the Edwards account of events. One neighbor, who also spoke to the TV channel, dismissed the notion of the paranormal activity, saying, "I think that's crazy." From North Carolina. Currently, both women are being held in Catawba County Jail with bonds set at $25,000 each, according to radio station WHKY. Emily Edwards has already appeared in court on Monday, August 19th, but her next hearing has not been scheduled. Sherry Edwards is due to appear in court on October 7th.
Good morning, KB. You just missed great story. Hopefully you heard it. Come on, man.
I mean, it's and I hate to just totally dismiss like people's accounts of like bruising appearing on kids and stuff like that, because it has happened before.
Oh.
But at the same time, you've got to take things with a grain of salt and be skeptic of that kind of stuff.
Now, on the flip side, we didn't hear the reports from the police department saying if the parents and grandparents were under the influence.
Yeah, no.
We didn't hear their side either. Were they under the influence? Was this domestic violence, etc.? Which, Sunday night, check it out.
What did the kids say? We never heard what they had to say.
Exactly. Well, they probably couldn't say anything because that's actually goes against. Against law to put those comments out.
Well, yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm. But we should have heard about at least what the adults.
I guess if the kids had said, "Well, it was a nightmare," but then they could have been like coerced into saying that by the parents too.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, it was ghosts. And be scared not to. Just like how much was actually in their system if it was just trace. See, I don't even remember them even talking about what. Yeah, how they even get the fentanyl?
That's the other thing. So
was it the fentanyl giving them nightmares?
No. Why were they giving kids fentanyl?
Well, I know exactly. I don't. That wasn't even part of the article.
Holy crap! There's stuff missing out of that article, but
unless I missed it, but I don't think I did.
I don't think so. I think they just didn't put it in there. But valid point of what we're looking at, though, because how many times? And I know we're getting on a tangent, but we're going to. How many times? Yeah, right. How many times in the paranormal, supernatural have we seen children affected? Now, how many times have we seen it that it's actually been the parent who's doing the abuse to the child and claiming paranormal activity? There's actually a pretty high percentage on that. That's the sad part. They're using it to hide.
Because there's no way to prove.
Exactly. Yep. So they're going to get...
They're not like it's going to hold up in court where
no,
the judge is going to be like, oh, okay. Well,
judge is going to be, it's your fault and you're going to jail. You're screwed. which is why a lot of people will reach out to paranormal investigators
Yeah.
and demonologists, etc., before they go to the police department.
Or set up a camera in the room to show, hey, I am not in here
Yeah.
doing this to him.
Yeah, well,
You know?
Michelle Wilfong is a perfect example of setting up cameras. She does an amazing job of where she is.
Yeah.
You know, so if you missed,
Did you have her on the show?
I did this last
Oh, my
Sunday.
goodness.
Ronnie and I
Yeah.
talked to Michelle, and she has amazing videos. Check her out. Talk with her. It went one direction and then turned out to be something completely different. It was really awesome. We're going to be having her back with her ongoing paranormal experience next month.
Yeah.
So looking
That's
forward
awesome.
to that. Michelle does say fentanyl powder. Okay. Could leave residue anywhere. If they are using it on the table and the child touches it, child could absorb it through the fingertips. And she's exactly right. I forgot all about that. I'd like to know how much was actually in their system if it was just traced amounts. See, I don't think it even said that.
I'm gonna go back and look at the article. Let me see here.
It is sad, Ashley. It really is. And it's neglect on the parents. And we see a lot of individuals that are into drug use.
Maybe the parents who were on fentanyl were seeing spirits because of their minds were fucked up or messed up. Sorry.
So they're going to think they really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Valid point there, too. There's a lot of valid points, and that's the sad part about
The
it.
two toddlers, I don't even know. Like,
You're welcome.
If they gave an account, if they what they said would be admissible, because they're like,
You know darn well that no judge.
1 and 2 year olds. So yeah, no.
Yeah. 1 and 2 year old. So that's a very good possibility. What Michelle's talking about, putting their hand up
Children
somewhere.
tested positive for fethanol.
It's like cocaine. You leaving cocaine on the table, and a kid comes along, and kids are notorious for
They're
going,
like, oh, Oh, look at this pixie stick.
You and pixie sticks. I
Yeah.
swear to God.
Takes me back.
Very
So yeah,
dangerous drug
especially
to have.
both. Yeah, so they says is they tested positive for fentanyl.
Yeah.
People die from fentanyl. Like
Every
grown
day.
ass people
Yeah.
die from fentanyl. These kids.
Look, okay. So I think we're going to go down that rabbit hole for a second. As the experience of us all, if we will, the fact that humans need to use a drug to get away to begin with
Sad.
is a sad factor. It's one thing if you're using it as a, hey, I get a little time off, I'm going to do a little free blah blah. But if you're using it every day,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you now, I don't care what anybody says. A lot of people will say that even marijuana is not addictive. I say bullshit. 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 Like the little kid. Bullshit.
Mhm.
Especially if you smoke it every day. Or if you're doing cocaine every day or heroin every day, you're fucking addicted. It's an addictive. There's certain things that people, get this before we move further. This leads into something. Talk about tobacco. Okay.
Yeah.
They say tobacco itself is not addictive. It's the additives that these corporations have added to the cigarette that's made it addictive.
You want to keep
and
buying
dangerous.
it and buying it.
No,
Quitting is hard.
There is a possibility. Quitting is fucking hard as hell. You did it. I don't know. I give you props for that. I'm still stuck. But I don't know, man. There's something that depends on your
There's so
addiction
much
of-
pressure on life. There's so much other stress going on in everyday life with everything going on. Why would you add that another stress of trying to quit? It's hard to get motivated when you have other stuff. When you have that smoke gives you a little bit of relief during the hard times. It's like, well, if I quit, it's going to be really irritated. I'm already. It's already so much stuff going on.
I think that's my problem right there.
I
know if I quit, I think I'm gonna go lose my shit.
The only reason I quit was because the doctor asked me when I went in with for my collapsed lung. He was like, "Do you smoke?" And I said yes, and he said not anymore. In front of everyone, my dad, Shannon at the time, And I knew if I had smoked again, then and if something like that happened again, it would be my fault because I didn't quit smoking.
Right.
You know, you feel like you have to do something a lot easier than you want because you can convince yourself to not to go back and but then
I've got to apply
it's
that.
just really
I've got to apply that.
You had a heart attack, so that should be enough to make you want to stop fucking smoking.
Oh, I did. And here's the thing. I did stop. And then they put me on that Chantec shit. And then I had trippy going to kill myself thing.
I
did
the patches and that was fine.
Yeah, I have to try that.
Yeah, I did the patches.
Actually, this is why it's so important to know about mental health when dealing with paranormal cases. Damn Skippy.
Thank you, Ashley. Glad you said that.
Oh, yeah. Michelle goes, the chemicals they add to cigarettes are the same chemicals they use to make crack cocaine. Yes.
Add one more thing to your quitting smoking quest.
Yes.
Try suckers to get the hand to mouth motion. Suckers like Charms, blow pops, or dum dum, stuff like that.
You just want me to look like Telly Savalas, huh?
Yes, yes. Kojak over here, and cough drops.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'll go with that. Hey, the next thing we got coming out is a quick short. This is why the largest lake in California disappeared. This is about GeoGlobe Talons. This was 9 days ago. It's only a minute. Check this out. This is really interesting.
Not all Americans know that California used to look different, with a massive lake right in the middle. Over the centuries, it got smaller, and as a result of U.S. government mistakes, it completely disappeared. This ancient lake, known as Lake Corcoran, was formed many centuries ago by rainfall and melting glaciers that filled the Central Valley. At some point, the waters of the lake reached a critical level and broke through to the Pacific Ocean, leaving in its place a dried-up valley and Lake Tulare, which remained the largest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi and the 6th largest in the entire United States. In turn, the valley turned out to be extremely fertile and quickly became one of the most productive agricultural regions in the United States. But due to the lack of rainfall, farmers, backed by government support, began using Lake Tulare to irrigate their fields. Despite warnings of the impact, the government continued to fund projects and build dams to redirect water from the lake and its feeder rivers for agriculture, causing a dramatic drop in water levels and the lake's near-complete disappearance.
So,
because you need the farmland, you need to develop the state.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what they could have done differently to make sure that didn't happen.
That is a good point. We learn from the past. We learn from all of things. But back then maybe they thought they were doing the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
I get your point.
Think about the technology they had back then. What did they have at their disposal to do anything differently back then?
True that. That's very true. That's what they knew at the time.
Yeah, and I don't think they really cared about the environment that much back then.
No, I don't think so either.
No,
because they were worried about progress. But
the industrial age and everything. We're trying to develop the country. They're like, it's just a lake. We've got these people. We got these people who need a place to farm crops. We need food. We need all this. Are we going to worry about the water in the lake? Are we going to worry about sustenance?
Very, very good point. Very good point. Because now bringing back up lakes, we got one more article for you guys. This is actually coming from the Lore Lodge 2 weeks ago. That's about 6 minutes and 15 seconds. But this is interesting. I'm only going to play an insert because I want you guys to go to YouTube. Check these creators out. This is the Lore Lodge on YouTube. This is interesting on what he's going to be talking about. This is just the introduction to the video, and I really want y'all to see this. So check this out. That was pretty cool.
You may have heard that the National Park Service is hiding Bigfoot, but are you aware that the U.S. Forest Service may be hiding the Dogman? I'm Aiden Mattis, and welcome back to the Lore Lodge. On the far western side of Kentucky, just on the border between that state and Tennessee, there is a national forest called Land Between the Lakes. It is a massive, beautiful wilderness area, but if certain legends are to be believed, there is a very dark secret hiding there. As the stories go, a creature of some kind has been known to stalk this region for, depending on who you ask, at least the last 50 or so years, but potentially as far back as the 1700s. How exactly this monster is described varies from source to source, with some saying that it is a giant creature over 11.5 feet tall, while others paint a more realistic 6'5". Sometimes the thing is said to be very humanoid, almost more like a Sasquatch than anything else, but in other versions of the story it has canine features, much like the Dogman described in the Midwest. But there are a few details of these stories that seem to remain consistent, and in some cases, it seems like these are all multiple versions of one event. These include details like families of 4 being targeted, one member of the family being carried off a ways, and of course that whatever this thing is, it is covered in dark fur or hair. And of course, because there are no official records of any of these incidents or this one key incident ever actually occurring, there has been added this layer that it's a government cover-up. Something actually happened, and the reason that there's no news media about it at all is that the feds got there first. Or at least the feds got there before the media did. Now, this was the 1980s, you didn't have internet yet, and this is an extremely rural part of the United States. So, theoretically, if some government agency were able to get their claws onto this before it made it public, you could keep it a complete secret for 50 years. Of course, why then does this story suddenly start to crop up on the internet over the last 2 decades? Well, from what I can tell, the earliest reference, at least the earliest written reference, to a legend of some kind of monster living in the lands between the lakes comes from a 2004 post to the website Guardian Tales by a Jan Thompson. The story, however, took place in 1982. At the outset of her narrative, Jan explains that she wasn't a witness to the fact, just a third person making observations and having conversations with 2 individuals who were part of the incident, who were involved in the whole ordeal. Now, specifically, she says she was working the night shift at a gas station a few miles down from the Kentucky Dam when 2 officers of the law stopped by around 3 a.m. Jan described their appearance as shaken beyond description, a mixture of fear and confusion, shock and disbelief emanating from them both. After these men sat outside for a few minutes, one of them paler than the other and throwing up between his own legs, the other officer entered the store to buy a couple of coffees and grab a cup of water for his sick friend. Jan didn't give the real name.
That's what I want. I want a cup of coffee after I've chucked my guts out.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah. That's
Of these officers,
That's
who she would later
person I
say
wanted
she was
my-
on a first name basis with, but assigned them the pseudonyms Adam and Bill, Adam being the sick one. Now, as I said, these men were not strangers to Jan, and this was, in her opinion, a possible reason that they disclosed so much when protocol should have kept them both tight-lipped. You see, since there were no other customers at this late hour, Jan spent some time chatting with the men outside, which is how she learned that they'd spent the last 8 hours at some kind of crime scene inside of the Land Between the Lakes. At first, the officers only gave vague statements of disbelief about what they had seen. After some time, however, they began to provide her with fragmented details, both of them still appearing deeply unsettled. And you know what else is deeply unsettling? Having your personal data appear online. And that's why I'd like to introduce you to our sponsor for today's video, Delete Me, a subscription service that works tirelessly to remove your personal data from the web. Now you might be wondering, why do I need my personal data removed from the web? Well, aside from scam calls and other annoyances that come out of it, identity theft and other problems are a genuine concern. In fact, research done by Delete Me shows that the volume of personal data on individuals available online.
Yeah, we're gonna commercial him. I mean, I still think that's a really good point of what he was talking about. It's intriguing to me how supposedly these officers, if you will, just started sharing. But okay,
Well, if you experience something like that, you see someone you know, right, and you feel like you always feel like you need to tell someone. Probably a little too much oversharing, but you've experienced something like, oh my God, I saw this.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just setting that up.
Yeah. You experience something, you see someone you trust, you want to share it with them without even really thinking about, what you're saying,
That's a valid point.
because you want to,
That's
you
a
want to
valid
share your experience.
But okay, let's go down this road real quick. What if Sasquatch said be real? Not saying it's not, not saying it is. Comes face to face to a dog man. Not saying it is, not saying it isn't. Can you? All I can
Sorry.
see is Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Or like Killer Instinct. Or
Hey,
something.
Richard. Yeah, Killer Instinct.
Finish him.
Finish him. Forget. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, the image I just had in my head. But think about that though for a second.
I mean,
What if these cryptids crossed each other? I mean, would there not be fighting? Would that not? Are they going, hey, you want a beer, Charlie?
I'm surprised but you probably have. But then again, you think you would hear in the distance the fight because they're so loud. Yeah.
Well, we know. Or are they existing on our plane in our dimension as we all go in there?
Yeah,
It's just
could be
interesting.
different dimensions, different
Yeah, speaking of that, the next story we got is very interesting. That's enlightening and intriguing to everybody because it even caught my attention in a major way. So I'm looking forward to sharing that because it kind of goes along to something else we were talking about before. You have another story?
I do have another
Let's
story.
get that story in. Then we'll go to this, and then we'll end it up with Dr. Alan Greer.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
This is a Black-Eyed Kids
I see
story.
pay-per-view. Damn Skippy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Pay-per-view. The Beast versus the Squash. Round 1. Sunday.
I need to be the cameraman trying to capture that shit.
No shit.
Okay, this is from the Mirror. This is from October 29th, 2024. I saw the black-eyed child ghost. Her creepy stare made my blood run cold. Paranormal investigator Lee Brickley has encountered several inexplicably supernatural beings, including the infamous black-eyed child of Cannock Chase, which some believe is the tormented soul of a murdered girl. A paranormal investigator who once saw the infamous black-eyed child ghost is still unsettled by what he encountered. Lee Brickley, author of a number of books on ghosts, Bigfoot sightings, and the spookiest places to visit in the UK, has investigated the paranormal for the last 13 years. After his interest was sparked at the age of 5 when he watched the original Ghostbusters film. Who are you going to call? Hollywood films might have started this obsession with the supernatural, but it was Lee's own childhood experiences that made him want to pursue it as a career. At the age of 10, he saw ghostly beings inside his own home, although his dad would try to distract him from their movements. Mm-hmm. There was another time when I walked into the kitchen. Dude, he goes about the mirror. It's all these pop-up ads that block the freaking thing.
Yeah.
There was another time when I walked into the kitchen in the middle of the night, and a single cup was violently swinging from side to side from under a cupboard. It was hanging from a hook alongside multiple other cups that were all motionless. Years later, I learned that my great uncle died in that house, and my father now tells me he believes our deceased relative was behind the haunting. Lee grew up in a small mining town near Cannock Chase, a large forest in Staffordshire, where people have reported seeing ghosts and other supernatural creatures.
Wow.
According to many locals, the woodland home is home to spirits, werewolves, black-eyed children, a pig man, and allegedly even Bigfoot, says Lee. During my investigations, I've interviewed lots of seemingly genuine people who claim to have seen something scary in the forest. And I've seen a couple of unexplainable, even had a couple of unexplainable encounters of my own.
Okay.
In April 2018, I believe I saw the infamous black-eyed child in an area of Cannock Chase called Birches Valley. She appeared about 100 meters in front of me, stared right at me for about 30 seconds, then vanished without a trace. In June 2019, I saw what can only be described as a man-monkey running through the woods when I was investigating an alleged Bigfoot footprint. I wrote another book that covers this investigation called On the Hunt for the British Bigfoot. Sightings of the black-eyed there we go. Sightings of the black-eyed child have been recorded in Cannock Chase since the 1980s. And people who claim to have seen her believe she could be the tormented soul of a young girl who was murdered in the area in the 1960s. Others think she could be a demon or an alien. Two campers believe they saw the black-eyed child during an illegal camping trip in 2021 during the coronavirus pandemic. Kylie and Ben told Lee for his book, Haunted Cannock Chase, True Ghost Stories from the UK Spookiest Location, that they'd encountered the ghoul after pitching their tent in the middle of the forest.
That's a name we don't hear very often. Ghoul.
Ghoul, yeah.
Nobody uses that name anymore.
Let's bring that one back.
No shit. What do you say, guys? Let's start using ghoul.
Yeah, we'll start using ghoul again.
Ghoul.
At around midnight, the 17-year-old friends heard something moving outside their tent. Not wanting to disturb it in case it was a deer, the pair stayed quiet until they heard footsteps, then unzipped the tent. Hearing a spooky giggle as though from a young child, they turned on their torches, and Ben caught sight of a figure running from tree to tree, occasionally stopping to look at them from behind a trunk. Astonished, the friends trained their spotlights on the figure until it stopped and deliberately stepped into the clearing in front of them. I was absolutely terrified, Kylie told Lee. I'd read the stories in the news about the black-eyed child, but it wasn't until the thing stood right in front of me that I could quite believe them. I knew instantly that we were dealing with the real thing because it moved in ways humans simply can't move. It was like it could teleport from one place to another when it was moving around and hiding behind the trees. Ben added, I was shining my torch right at her, and she just stood there staring at us with her head slightly dipped. That's when the giggling started to get louder and louder. It really sounded like it was coming from all around us, even though I could see she was right in front of us. It was really just disorientating for a few seconds. Then she bent down for a moment as if adjusting her shoes, stood back up, and ran down a nearby path through a dense section of woods. Terrified, the two ran back to their tent, stayed there, huddled to wait for dawn. When they emerged at 7 a.m., they found piles of stones evenly placed around the perimeter of their tent and strange stick formations hanging from the trees, which looked like dream catchers.
Blair Witch Project on crack. Here we go.
Shaken, the two packed up and started walking the 15-minute trail back to Ben's car. As they made their way through the trees, Kylie's stomach dropped as she once again caught sight of the spooky figure with black eyes watching them from behind a tree. As Ben screamed, "Leave us alone," the pair sprinted towards their car into safety. Paranormal investigator Lee was not surprised to hear Ben and Kylie's encounter with the same ghost he spotted. I tend to believe the Cannock Chase is somewhat of a paranormal portal area where beings and entities from the next world can migrate into our own, he said. I believe the woods are haunted with many spirits of the dead, but there are also lots of monster sightings that happen here. And I think those creatures come from another much darker place.
Well, first, KB, thank you. He was saying fun show.
Thank you.
Rich did make a point. He says Becks are cool. They are a ET human hybrid, according to Bashar. I that's a good point. And something else intrigues me about that, and we can jump into this one. We may not get to Alan Greer or Stephen Greer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about black-eyed children. I'm thinking about something that was said. It sounded like it was coming all around them.
Yeah.
What if that wasn't all around them? What if they were just hearing it in their head?
It could be.
Just a mess with your head. We're going to make you
like telepathic type thing.
Right, because it seems to me that a lot of these stories and issues, and like Richard said, Bex, are dimensional.
Yeah.
And they pop in and out just like all of our cryptids. It makes me wonder if it's like a light switch now. Turn it on and off, and they can come and go. Why aren't we going there? Or maybe we are.
Yeah.
We don't know it. I don't. It's just intriguing. Telepathic. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. We now. I'm going to follow up Ryan's amazing find with this one, which is kind of cool. This is going to be about 10 minutes towards the end of the show, but we can have a great discussion. We don't have to pop right out. But check this one out, you guys. I found this great article. This again is by Cortex Zero. This was just a couple of weeks ago. And I'm only going to do the intro, but I want you guys to check it out. It's called, as you can see, The Men in Black May Not Be What You Think They Were. And we'll talk about that in a second.
What comes to mind for me if I imagine a visit from the MIB? Two men dressed in identical suits, black sunglasses, sometimes wearing brim hats, slick leather dress shoes, at times adorned in a black trench coat, stern demeanor, pale complexion, and compared to clothing store mannequins that have sprung to life in many instances. Robotic and at times even somewhat clumsy mannerisms. The pair at times appear to be twins, hailing from some alphabet agency. Clothing reminiscent of a much older era, along with the vehicles they have been reportedly utilizing for transportation. License plate numbers that don't return any information from the Department of Motor Vehicles. Blacked out Mercedes-like automobiles that don't actually exist at all. Their sole purpose in visiting you is to inform you of how you didn't see a UFO, or that researching said subject is a waste of your time or a bad idea. This is the standard description one may find across many cases involving the Men in Black. However, not too far under the surface of the prototypical MIB synopsis lies a much more bizarre collection of stories, far more mysterious and far more dark. While some MIB may indeed be the secret eyes and ears of government departments, others appear to emanate from a much different origin. Let's start from the beginning, or to be more...
So, we want to encourage you guys to go check this out. That's why we do these. We want to get you guys informed. It's interesting. Now, in this article, they also talk about how the features of these MIBs actually are more resembling Asian than what we thought. Yeah, they still pasty skin, et cetera, but their facial features, as the reports have come in, have stated more and more that they have a more of an Asian look to them. The other interesting part to this whole story that you'll find where it says modern times, et cetera, in the story is the fact that here in the last 10 to 20 years, where's the stories at?
Yeah.
Where's the documentation of MIB? It seems like MIB have slowly dissipated away. Hold on right here, telepath. They're all saying, hello. Richard says, ET thought forms, I think. And,
True, yeah.
A lot of people are feeling now that they are ET.
You would think that with everything going on with this, the sharing of information and so much, out there, that if the MIBs were more prevalent, we would hear more about them.
Especially now.
Yeah. But then you think Men in Black, they don't take it very seriously anymore because they think of Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
That's a good point.
And every time you're saying it, you hit Men in Black, and the song came in my head when you said that. Here's Men in Black. Yeah, you don't think of that. Maybe since the movie came out and they realized that, hey, we've got to change tactics.
Bingo. It talks about that at the end of the video. Now that actual documentation, I think, is an hour and 45 minutes long. It's worth the watch, but they did talk about the transition from MIB solid to guess what? Shadow people, specifically the Hat Man.
Yeah, but
as the stories of MIB slowed, the more the increase of the Hat Man increased.
Yeah, but
so
the MIB, they're actually
physical.
Yeah, the Hat Man's is. Are they saying it's the same thing?
They're starting to. There's people feeling that the Hat Man and MIBs are the same, but they're just taking another form, like you were talking about.
Do you think the MIB are aliens that are trying to protect their secret on Earth, the fact that they're here. Like,
I think they're
they
hybrids.
they come in, they appear as us, and or as best as they can to look human.
Skinwalker.
Yeah, and they put
look,
the
an
hat
alien
on.
Skinwalker.
Yeah, well, yeah, they put the skin on. They put the hat on, the glasses, like the Men in Black, where the guy put the suit on.
Oh,
the cockroach put the suit on.
yeah.
But they try to do as best they can to represent humans, and then
It might be probably from one of the more negatively polarized ET groups. Yeah, I mean, he's going with that. I think it's either going to be an extraterrestrial or it's a human hybrid, and they needed to cloak what was going on, what they were dealing with. So, best way to shut somebody up is intimidate them.
They work with the negative shadow government, and the more people know about the Men in Black, the less they are inconspicuous,
and the less effective their threatening invokes are. That don't mean come knocking at our door. We're not in the mood for it. We'll zap you. But it's true.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that one. I think
they found another way to silence people. Well, plus,
I like Richard's point.
The government will make you sound
fear,
crazy, or the media will make you sound crazy if you say you've seen something or an alien, and that in people's opinion of you sometimes will make you not want to report that. If you're scared people are going to make fun of you, or you're just like, I don't want that kind of publicity. You don't want, so be like, they make it sound like, they make it less worth the hassle to report something like
that. I 100% agree with you on that. I really do. It's
fear. Yep. Yes, sir.
It's absolute fear. I mean, it's a decades of use. Church did it.
But
Romans did it.
It's because they know that they're here, and they want to hide it.
Right. Maybe for a reason. I don't know. Maybe so we don't go killing them, because let's face it, us humans, we like to kill and blow shit up. It's pretty sad. First shoot, ask questions later.
I mean, honestly, if we decide to go to war with aliens, we would not stand much of a chance, I don't think.
And that's the other thing. If people thought we were, this could jump into the whole UFO council.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle. That was such a joke. I mean, I'm not going to mention any of the people on the board's names, Alonzo, but they were double talking and back talking and couldn't answer the questions. They were answering with other questions. It was ridiculous. But this is a good point. We actually can end the show on what are anticipated. So I'll tell you what, this is what we're going to do, you guys. We're going to let you watch this last video. It is from Dr. Stephen Greer. I actually follow him. It makes a valid point. He has a valid point. Check this out, and we will see you in 1 month.
Yes, first is our last show of 2024. We're back here.
Holy shit, it is.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
We'll see you next year.
Oh my God. That's right. New channel, new Batman style. He's Batman.
Won't be the same channel, right? Just different.
Yeah, it'll be the same channel.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was going with the flow on that. You think all the drone crap is government human junk? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do. And well said, Richard, I do. But from us to you guys, Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful new year. We will see you in 2025 with some new news, some new events, and some new information. Let's see what the universe gives us next.
It's going to be freaking awesome. Can't wait.
Oh, did you hear that? Freaking awesome.
Before, because I was told that if I expose this is where I'd be most at risk. Okay, because now I'm stepping on the toes of the eschatological fantasies of the people who want endless war. Eschatology is the study of how the world's going to end. And at the core of this secret group are folks who want to precipitate an Armageddon-type conflagration that's War of the Worlds. Because they love and they do it because they want people to be united around another common enemy, not just one country or subculture or religion, but the whole planet. Go look at the movie Independence Day. It's a script right out of the CIA. And so the whole point of that is that you have got to prepare people to hate. So, you know, it's not politically correct to hate someone who's African American if you're white, or if a gay person if you're straight, or hate women if you're a male, or a Jewish person. But it's completely okay to hate an entire planetary group of people, whether they're called grays or greens or purples or whatever, because they know that humans have within them this flaw. And it's in the primate monkey mind that is the root of tribalism. And I want to deconstruct this for a moment. We are 98.5% identical to chimpanzees and gorillas. And chimpanzees and gorillas do organize into troops and into warring sects that kill each other. And it is usually based on slight differences of whether territory or appearance. And this can be exploited by demagogues, whether it's religious demagoguery, racial demagoguery, sexism, homophobia. Just pick it. Well, the big one is interspecies. So the next one is, let's get everyone prepared, and we can use these images, just like Hitler used the image of, you know, the blood libels of Germany, you know, portraying Jewish people as grinding up children for matzah meal, and this outrageous stuff that was propaganda. No, this is all true. Go look it up. Unfortunately, most people don't know any history, but you know, if you go look up the history of World War II, there was a foundation built for years for the Third Reich. That's what the Fourth Reich is doing, this secret government. And they've done it